I died choking on my own screams. My heels skidding across the marble floor of the Grand Hyatt's ballroom as my daughter's hand shoved me toward the emergency exit. Her voice a venomous whisper. Run, Mom, before they find out what you did. The fall was mercifully quick, my neck snapping against the stair rail like a brittle twig, but the betrayal burned hotter than the snap. Replaying her smile from earlier that night, the one that hid the knife she'd twisted into my back for years. And then, nothing. Blackness. Until the world rebooted in a gasp. My 45-year-old body jolting awake in a queen-sized bed that smelled of lavender sheets and fresh betrayal. The alarm clock blinking 6:47 a.m. on the morning of the party that would have ended me. I shot upright, heart hammering like a jackrabbit on meth. My silk pajamas clinging to skin that felt too tight, too alive. The mirror across the room. God. That antique thing with the gilded frame I'd bought on a whim in Soho reflected Ivy Hargrove, CEO of Hargrove Dynamics. Tech empire built on smart home gadgets that spied on the world a little too well. But this Ivy had laugh lines that hadn't deepened yet. Crow's feet that weren't etched from endless boardroom battles. No. This was Ivy from 6 months ago. Before the board ousted me in a coup slicker than Wall Street grease. Before the accident at my own damn retirement bash. Rebirth. The words slithered through my mind like a bad acid trip, but it fit. I'd read those trashy web novels late at night, scrolling on my phone while nursing a scotch, laughing at the tropes, truckkuin, divine intervention, some cosmic do-over. But this was raw, unfiltered second chance, courtesy of whatever glitch in the Matrix owed me one. My hands trembled as I touched my face, feeling the subtle plumpness of cheeks that hadn't sagged under gravity's cruel thumb. The date on my phone confirmed it. March 15th, 2025. 6 months before the party. 6 months to unravel the noose my own flesh and blood had looped around my neck. Why me? Why now? The question gnawed as I padded to the kitchen. The penthouse overlooking Manhattan's steel jungle bathed in that pre-dawn hush. Coffee brewed automatically, my own design. The Hargrove Brewmaster. Voice activated and idiot-proof. Black. Hot. I muttered. And it complied. Steam rising like a genie's promise. But promises were bullshit. I'd built an empire on them, turning Hargrove Dynamics from a garage startup into a $2 billion beast. Patents stacking like poker chips, voice locks that learned your whispers, cameras that predicted your moods. And for what? To hand it over on a silver platter to Elena, my golden girl, the daughter who'd aced Harvard business, charmed investors with her dimpled smile, and then sold me out for a bigger slice. The memory flooded back, unbidden, sharp as shattered glass. The party. Streamers in corporate blue, toasts from execs I'd mentored, Elena at my side in that red sheath dress that hugged her like a second skin. She'd leaned in during the speeches, her breath hot against my ear. Mom, there's a leak, prototype schematics. We have to move now. Her eyes, wide and urgent, the same hazel as mine but colder, sharper. I'd bolted, stupidly, heels clicking like gunfire down the hall, bursting through the exit door into the service stairs. That's when the shove came, not hard, but precise. A nudge from behind, disguised as a stumble. My ankle twisted. Momentum carried me forward, and the rail met my temple with a crack that echoed in my skull like Judgment Day. But it wasn't an accident. The autopsy, huh? I'd seen the report in the afterlife haze, or whatever that was listed misadventure, but the bruises on my arms, Fingerprints too small for a caterer's grip. Elena's hands, manicured to perfection. And the why?
Oh,
That festered like an open sore. She'd been skimming funds, laundering through offshore shells, building her own shadow company. My retirement was her endgame. Seize control, bury the evidence under a mountain of grief and NDAs. The board? Her puppets, greased with my money. I sipped the coffee, bitter as truth, and stared at the city lights winking out one by one. This time, I wouldn't play the doting mom, the pushover founder cashing out. This was war, Rebirth Edition. I'd dismantle her piece by piece, starting with the secrets she'd buried deeper than my casket. But revenge? It had teeth, and I had to decide how sharp to file them. Controversial didn't begin to cover it. I'd flirt with lines that could land me in federal orange, all for the satisfaction of watching her empire crumble before mine did. The day unfolded like a glitchy simulation, every moment an echo of what was and what could be. I called in sick to the office, first time in a decade, and spent the morning in my home office, that glass-walled sanctum overlooking Central Park. My fingers flew over the keyboard, logging into the backdoor I'd coded into every Hargrove device years ago. A founder's perk, total access, no questions asked. Elena's laptop pinged first, synced to the family cloud, because trust is for suckers. Password? Still Mom and Me 2020. Pathetic. Emails unspooled like a digital confessional. Late-night threads with Victor Lang, my CFO, the silver fox with a Yale drawl who'd been loyal for 15 years. The old lady's out soon, one read. Timestamped 2 a.m. We accelerate phase 2, liquidate the R&D slush fund. Route to Cayman. Victor's reply, risky. She smells blood. Elena, she won't. Party's the diversion. Trust me. Daddy Warbucks. Daddy Warbucks? Jesus. She'd nicknamed him that in bed. Attachments followed. Spreadsheets bleeding red. Wire transfers to accounts in Elena's name only. $4.7 million siphoned. Funneled into Elanova Tech, her ghost startup poaching my engineers on the sly. Rage boiled. Hot and familiar. But I tamped it down. Evidence first, catharsis later. I mirrored her drive to an encrypted thumb drive. Then dove deeper, socials, texts, the detritus of a double life. Instagram polished to perfection, Elena at galas, arm in arm with influencers. Captioning, building legacy's girl boss. But Snapchat ghosts told another tale, blurry selfies with lines of white powder on marble counters. Victor's hand on her thigh in a 4-season suite. Affair?
check.
Blackmail material? Double check. By noon, my head throbbed, but clarity sharpened like a blade. Elena wasn't just greedy, she was unraveling. A buried folder in her cloud, contingencies, held psych evals from her college days, borderline personality, manipulative tendencies, high risk for corporate sabotage. I'd paid for therapy, buried the reports to protect the family name. Mistake number 1. Secret number 2. Her real father wasn't the sperm donor who'd bailed when she was 5. It was Victor. A one-night stand at the company Christmas party, 1999, when I was still climbing, still blind to the wolves in sheep's clothing. The pieces clicked, a mosaic of malice. Victor had groomed her, turned my daughter into his weapon. The shove? Not impulse, insurance. If I died in the panic, Elena inherited unchallenged. Victor as regent. They'd planned it over caviar and cocaine, toasting my demise. I needed air. Bundled in a trench coat, Chanel. Last season's sale. I hit the streets. The crisp March wind slapping sense into me. Fifth Avenue buzzed with tourists snapping pics of the Flatiron. But I veered into Washington Square Park. Benches dotted with dog walkers and dreadlocked buskers. Sat by the arch, watching pigeons scatter, and let the what-ifs avalanche. What if I confronted her now? Slammed the evidence on the kitchen island. Watched her hazel eyes widen in that signature feign innocence flutter? No. Too clean. She'd lawyer up, spin it as misunderstanding, cry to the press about this stressed-out mom. I needed dirt that stuck. The kind that peeled back her facade layer by bloody layer. Controversial decision numero uno. I'd play dirty. Hack her phone for real-time GPS. Done. Pinging at a boutique in Soho. But instead of storming in, I'd tail her. Become the ghost she thought she'd buried. And Victor? I'd seduce the snake. Use his ego against him. 15 years of boardroom flirtation. He still leered at my legs during quarterlies. Let him think I was cracking. Vulnerable. Reel him in. Extract confessions over martinis. Sun dipped low, gilding the park in amber. And I felt it, a thrill coiling in my gut. Rebirth's dark gift. This wasn't just survival, it was scorched earth reclamation. Elena had made me run once. This time, I'd make her sprint straight into hell's open arms. But as I rose, phone buzzing with a text from her. Mom? Dinner tonight? Miss you XX. Guilt flickered. Was she all monster? Or had I forged her in the fires of my ambition? Pushed too hard? Praised too sparingly? No. Excuses were for the dead. I was alive, and the grave's chill still lingered in my bones. Time to dig up some skeletons. Dinner at Le Bernardin was Elena's idea of casual, lobster bisque and $200 bottles of Sancerre. The kind of place where waiters whispered wine pairings like state secrets. I arrived early, staking a corner booth with a view of the entrance. My reflection in the window showing a woman who'd traded pajamas for power armor, pencil skirt, silk blouse unbuttoned just enough to remind Victor of what he'd missed. The thumb drive burned in my clutch like contraband. But tonight was recon, not raid. She swept in at 7:15, all legs and luminosity, her blonde bob swinging like a metronome of entitlement. Mom, air kisses. Chanel no. 5 wafting like a truce flag. We ordered seared foie gras for her, diver scallops for me, and the small talk flowed like the wine, her latest TEDx pitch. My impending freedom from the C-suite grind. But I watched her hands, those delicate instruments of my doom, tracing the stem of her glass. Steady. Too steady. So, the party's shaping up, she said, eyes sparkling under the low lights. Caterers confirmed. String quartet from Juilliard. Victor's handling the AV, says it'll be cinematic. Victor. The name dropped like bait. And I bit. Gentle as a minnow. Victor's a gem, I replied, swirling my glass. Always has been. Remember that Christmas gala '99? He saved the night when the sound system crapped out. Her laugh tinkled, but her fork paused midair. Foie gras untouched. Bingo. The seed planted. We lingered over dessert, creme brulee cracked with silver spoons, and I steered us to deeper waters. You've been glowing lately. El. New beau? Or just the thrill of taking over Mom's kingdom? She flushed, that porcelain skin betraying her, and launched into a monologue about empowering the next gen, but her eyes darted to her phone. Victor, No doubt. I excused myself to the ladies, slipped into a stall, and fired up the mirror hack, Hargrove's facial rectech, repurposed for paranoia. Sync her cell in seconds. Texts unspooling. She's fishing. Play dumb. Parties are curtain call. Curtain call. Theatrical. Like her. I rejoined her with a smile forged in fury, and as we hugged goodbye on the sidewalk, her Uber idling like a getaway car, I whispered, "Can't wait for the show. Sweetheart." Her grip tightened a fraction too long. She felt it. The shift. Good. Back home, the penthouse felt like a war room. I poured a nightcap, top-shelf bourbon, neat, and mapped it out on my whiteboard. The one I'd used for product launches, now graffitied with timelines. Phase 1. Isolate Victor. Tomorrow's board meeting was perfect bait. I'd corner him post-adjournment. Suggest drinks to celebrate the milestone. Let the old wolf think he was hunting. Sleep came fitful. Dreams splicing the past and prelude. Elena as a gap-toothed kid, presenting me wilted daisies on Mother's Day. Elena at 18. Valedictorian speech quoting my own words back at me. Had I missed the fracture lines? The narcissism blooming under my neglect? Dawn broke gray and drizzly. Manhattan shrouded in mist. And I armored up, tailored suit. Louboutins that clicked authority. The Hargrove Tower loomed on Park Avenue. Glass facade reflecting a city that chewed dreamers and spat out husks. My kingdom. For now. The boardroom was a Shark Tank, mahogany table, leather chairs, air thick with cologne and concealed daggers. Victor at my right, salt and pepper hair slicked, tie a power red slash. Elena sat opposite, iPad glowing with projections, rosy numbers she'd fudged. I now knew. The agenda droned. Q1 earnings up 12%. R&D bottlenecks cleared. Lies. All of it. But I played along, nodding sagely, until the gavel fell. Coffee. Vic, I murmured as chair scraped. His eyes lit. That predatory gleam. Absolutely. Ivy. My office. We migrated to his corner suite. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing the East River like a conqueror's vista. Scotch appeared, Macallan 18, his go-to, and I perched on the leather sofa, crossing legs with deliberate slowness. To smoother sails, I toasted, clinking glasses. He echoed, settling too close, knee brushing mine. You've been a rock, Ivy. Elena's lucky, hell. We're all lucky. Schmooze mode engaged. I laughed. Low and throaty, the sound I'd honed in investor pitches. Flatterer. Speaking of, she's mentioned you two brainstorming late nights. Anything I should know? His Adam's apple bobbed. Scotch sloshing. Just mentoring. You know? Grooming her for the throne. Grooming. The word hung. Loaded. I leaned in, breath ghosting his ear. She's special. Isn't she? Takes after her father. In a way. Pause. His face drained. Glass frozen mid-sip. What? DNA doesn't lie. Vic. 1999 ring a bell? The gala, the mistletoe. And 9 months later, Elena. I'd pulled the records that morning, hospital files. Tampered but not erased. His denial cracked like thin ice. Ivy, that's ancient history. We were young, ambitious. I cut him off. Hand on his thigh now. Nails digging just enough. Ancient? It's my bloodline. Vic. And now it's leverage. He squirmed, but the hook set. Confessions tumbled. The affair reignited 2 years back. Elena's idea, a power couple thing, the skimming to fund her escape pod. She hates the pressure.
Ivy.
Wants out.
Clean. The party.
It was supposed to be symbolic. A push.
Not.
Not a shove. Not murder. But the plan scrolled on his screen, blueprints for the exit sabotage. A loosened rail they'd discuss with maintenance. I let him sweat, retracting my hand with a smile. We're adults.
Vic.
Fixable. Help me help her or we all go down. He nodded. Broken. Promising reparations by week's end. Traitor turned pawn.
Check.
But Elena? She texted mid-afternoon. Heard you two chatted. Everything okay? Paranoia. Thy name is daughter. I replied breezy. Old-time sake. And dove back into the digital trenches. Her Elanova site was live. Beta invites to my top engineers. Poaching in plain sight. Controversial call, too. I'd ghost email them. Anonymous warnings laced with proof. Risky could backfire. Paint me as unhinged. But loyalty's a two-way street, and I'd paved it with golden handcuffs. Evening brought rain lashing the windows. Thunder rumbling like distant artillery. I cooked solo, pasta puttanesca. Spicy is my mood, and scrolled news on my tablet. Another tech CEO ousted in scandal. Whispers of insider trading. Foreshadowing? The bourbon warmed my veins, loosening the knot in my chest. Rebirth was a mercy, it was a loaded gun, and I was learning the trigger pull. A knock echoed, unexpected, 9 p.m. sharp. Victor, drenched, reeking of desperation. Ivy. Wait, he barged in, folder clutched like a shield. The transfers reversed. And Elena. She's spiraling. Found her stash. The pills. She thinks you're onto her. Pills. The psych evals flashed, self-medication history. My resolve wavered. Maternal instinct to sucker punch. Show me. Photos on my kitchen island. Elena's bathroom. Vials of Adderall and worse. Notes scrawled in frantic script. End it all at the party. Freedom. Not just greed, suicidal ideation. Twisted with rage. Victor's voice cracked. She's broken.
Ivy.
We both did this to her.
We.
The royal betrayal. I sent him packing, locks clicking behind him, and sank to the floor, rain drumming a dirge. Controversial decision 3 loomed. Mercy kill the plot. Or accelerate the apocalypse. Confront her with love. Drag her to therapy? Or burn it down. Consequences be damned? The grave whispered no second seconds. By midnight. Plan solidified. Seduce the truth from her next girls' night. Record every syllable. Family first, even if it meant destroying it. Girls' night was code for reconnaissance. Elena's favorite haunt, the Nomad Hotel bar. Velvet booths and craft cocktails that tasted like regret. I arrived in LBD, little black dress. Lethal as a stiletto, wired with a Hargrove pin mic, disguised as brooch. Streaming to my cloud server. 2 weeks had blurred since Victor's rain-soaked plea. A fortnight of cat and mouse, him funneling docs my way, her doubling down on the facade. Transfers reversed. Yes, but Elanova hummed underground, hiring hackers to scrub her digital footprints. Amateurs. She was already tipsy when I slid in, third martini sweating on the coaster.
Mom.
You look fierce. Hugs. stiff as starched collars. We ordered gimlets for old time's sake, and the floodgates creaked. Work gripes first. The board's dinosaurs.
Él.
You and Vic'll shake em up. Her laugh was brittle, eyes glassy. Vic's a fossil himself. But loyal. Loyal. The word twisted like a knife. As the bartender dimmed lights for the lounge set, I pivoted. Speaking of, I know.
Honey.
About him. 1999. Silence. Thicker than the fog rolling off the Hudson. Her glass clinked down. Hazel eyes hardening to flint. Know what? Exactly? I leaned in. Voice honeyed venom. That he's your dad. And that you've been playing house to steal my throne. The booth might as well have been a confessional. Jazz crooning betrayal in the background. She didn't deny better. Tears welled. Artful as an actress's. You were never there.
Mom.
Always the empire. The exits. I was collateral. Collateral. The word stung. Truth in the barbs. I'd missed recitals for mergers. Birthdays for buyouts.
But murder?
The party I pressed. My coming. The shove. You planned it. Her whisper cracked. It was Victor's idea. Push you into retirement, literally. The rail was loose. He'd paid off maintenance. I just followed. Complicit. The recording captured it all, timestamps. Sobs. The clink of ice settling like evidence. But then the twist uncoiled. He said it'd look like suicide. Your breakdown. Pills in your drink. The panic to chase the leak. But I couldn't. I dose light. Meant to scare. Not kill. Light dose. The autopsy, Hayes clarified, traces of lorazepam in my system. Missed as stress meds. Not murder, but manslaughter by proxy. Victor, the puppet master, dangling her strings. Rage surged, but pity tempered it, my girl. Groomed into a monster by the man who'd sired her. Why, Elenova, the skimming. Escape, she hissed, glancing at shadows. Vic's got debts, Yakuza ties from a bad Tokyo deal. He needed the cash. Or they'd carve us up. I built it to run. Leave you the corpse of a company. Yakuza. Jesus.
The rot ran oceanic.
Controversial 4. I'd cut Victor loose. Feed him to the sharks, literal and figurative. But Elena? Salvageable? Or sink her with him? We parted with fractured hugs. Her cab vanishing into the night. I walked home. East Village streets slick with neon reflections. Mind a whirlwind. The mic file uploaded seamlessly. Lawyer fodder. FBI tip line gold. But dawn brought doubt. Expose it all. And Elena's psych history goes public. Tabloids feasting on heiress homicide hoax. Prison for her.
Disgrace for me. Or
Leverage. Blackmail Victor into confessing. Exile them both. Gray area. Ethically bankrupt. But rebirth didn't come with a halo. The next days were a blur of shadows. I fed anonymous tips to SEC watchdogs. Elenova's shell core flagged for laundering, while courting Victor harder. Lunches at the Polo Bar. His hand lingering on mine. Spilling more. The Tokyo Syndicate. $10 mill owed from a botched chip deal. Elena's my redemption.
Ivy.
We'll fix this. Redemption. I nodded, smiling through nausea, plotting his downfall. Controversial 5 hit midweek. I hired a fixer. Not some Hollywood goon ex-CIA, networked through a discreet app. $50,000 wired to an untraceable account. Tailing, I instructed over burner phone. Yakuza contacts. Pressure points. No blood. He delivered dossiers on enforcers. A burner number for negotiation. I'd broker Victor's surrender. Dangle the debt payoff from my personal stash. Clean exit. Or so I thought. Elena grew erratic, texts manic. Then radio silent. Victor called. Voice quaking. They're circling. Ivy. The Japs, sorry. The associates. Elena's talking crazy. Wants out now. I met him in a midtown diner. Formica tables and greasy spoons. Far from boardroom gloss. Endgame, I said, sliding the confession draft across. Sign. Confess to the board. The cops. I'll cover the debt. You two vanish to Vancouver or wherever. He signed, hands shaking like leaves in a gale. But as he rose, for her.
Ivy.
Always for her. Gunshots cracked outside, shattering the window. Chaos, screams, sirens wailing. Victor slumped, red blooming on his crisp shirt. 2 slugs center mass. Yakuza message. Or my fixer's overreach. I dove under the table. Heart pounding. Shards of glass biting my palms. Cops swarmed. Badges flashing. Questions barraging. MS. Hargrove, relation to the Vic. By evening, headline screamed. Tech mogul's CFO gunned down in mob hit. Elena blew up my phone. Mom. What did you do? But I ghosted. Holing up in the penthouse. Blinds drawn against the paparazzi glare. The fixer texted. Collateral. Debt transferred to you now. Pay or pray. Double cross. My $50,000 bought a noose. Not freedom. Nights blurred into paranoia. Shadows in the lobby. Anonymous calls breathing static. Elena showed at my door. 3 a.m. Mascara streaked. Clutching a duffel.
He's gone.
They think I ordered it. Hysteria edged her voice. But fear real. Raw. Crackled beneath. I pulled her in, bolting the door, and we collapsed on the couch. Her head on my shoulder like when she was 5. I didn't.
Mom. Swear.
But Vic. He named me in his will. The debts.
Debts.
Plural. The mosaic reformed. Elanova wasn't escape, it was bait. Victor's gambit to offload syndicate heat onto her. Onto me. The shove, distraction from the real play, frame my suicide as despondency over embezzlement. Collect insurance. Settle scores. My daughter. The unwitting pawn in patricide. We talked till sunrise. Confessions cascading. Her pill haze. His manipulations. My blind ambition forging the chains. I hated you for it, she sobbed. But I loved him more.
Loved.
Past tense. Shattered. Controversial 6. Alliance. I'd pay the Yakuza, $15 million from liquid assets, then testify. Bury the bodies in bureaucracy.
But trust?
Fractured as the diner glass. The party loomed. Now a week away. Invites RSVP'd in blood. Cancellation? Cowardice. I'd face it. Rewrite the script. Elena crashed in the guest room. Our truce fragile as rice paper. Rebirth's gift twisted. Not just revenge. But reckoning. For her. For us. The grand Hyatt ballroom glittered like a fever dream. Chandeliers dripping light onto tuxedos and gowns. The string quartet sawing Vivaldi over clinking flutes. September 15th, 2025. Rebirth's deadline. 6 months compressed into a gauntlet of ghosts. I'd paid the Yakuza that week. A wire transfer to a Tokyo vault that left my brokerage gasping. But it bought silence, no more hits. No loose ends. Elena stood at my elbow. Red dress a banner of redemption. Her hand trembling in mine as toasts rose like smoke signals. To Ivy, the board chorused, oblivious to the coup that never hatched. Pioneer. Matriarch. I smiled, glass raised, but my eyes scanned shadows. FBI suits I'd tipped anonymously, blending with caterers, waiting for my cue. The confession file. Victor's signed scarlet letter. Burned in my clutch. Paired with Elena's recorded mea culpa. Not vengeance now, justice. Served cold with a side of controversy. Because what mother turns daughter over to feds? The one who died for it. The speeches droned, execs eulogizing my legacy. Elena's turn next. She stepped to the podium. Mic feedback a brief screech. Her voice steady as steel. Mom taught me everything. Ambition. Resilience. But also forgiveness.
Pause.
Eyes locking mine. A silent vow. Then, the pivot. And tonight, we honor truth. Victor Lang wasn't just a colleague. He was family. My father. And his secrets. End here. Murmurs rippled. Champagne forgotten. She nodded to me, and I rose, weaving through tables to the AV booth, Victor's old haunt. Fingers flew, override code. My founder backdoor. Screens flickered, projecting the files, transfers, emails, the diner blueprints. Gasps echoed. Chairs scraping. Embezzlement, a voice whispered. Murder plot. Elena continued, unflinching. He framed us both. The debts. The shove, it was his endgame.
But Mom.
She saw through it. Gave us a way out.
Lies.
Half-truths. My controversial 7. Perjury by proxy. I'd coached her script. Edited the narrative to shield her complicity. Manslaughter blurred to duress. Pills to coercion. Feds would buy it, syndicate pressure. A daughter's desperation. Victor, the sole villain, rotting in Potter's Field. Chaos bloomed, board members bolting for exits. Phones whipping out for lawyers. I caught Elena's eye across the room. Relief. Raw and real. But then, the twist uncoiled like a spring-loaded trap. A man in a gray suit, FBI, badge glinting, approached her.
Not me.
MS. Hargrove, Elena, we need to talk. Offshore alerts just pinged. Elenova's still active. And that Yakuza payoff? Traced to your IP. My blood iced. The fixer, double agent? Or Elena's final play? She'd sworn off the shadow company. Deleted the servers. But her eyes now, meeting mine over the agent's shoulder. Not fear, but triumph. Flicker of the shove. The whisper. Run, Mom. The truth behind it? Not greed.
Not debts. Deeper.
She'd played me. Rebirth and all. Flashback Claude. Her suicidal notes. The manic texts. Staging. Victor dead. Me exposed as the bagwoman for mob debts. Inheritance intact. But I'd take the fall. Painted as the desperate mogul laundering through my own kid.
The party?
Her victory lap. Feds her cleanup crew. I'd saved her. Only to swing. Controversial 8. The gut punch. Fight or fold. I lunged, heels devouring carpet, bursting through the emergency exit, echo of doom, into the service stairs. No shove this time. Elena hadn't needed it. Her plan evolved. Let Karma's shove do the work. Sirens wailed below. Paparazzi frenzy mounting. I hit the alley, brain slicked, lungs burning, and hailed a cab, ghosting into the night, burner phone in hand. From a flea bag in Queens. I watched it unfold on CNN. Hargrove scandal, CEO flees murder probe. Elena. Tears streaked on camera. Mom's innocent. Victor's the monster. But the debts. She tried to fix it. Crocodile tears. Oscar-worthy. Feds raided the penthouse. Seized servers. My empire? Frozen. Under investigation. But the backdoor, my ace, dumped the full files to WikiLeaks. Elena's texts. Her Yakuza chats. Fabricated? No. Real. Her contingency folder. Twist on twist, she'd outsourced the hit on Victor to a rival fixer. Framing my guy. Cycle of betrayal. Full circle. Weeks blurred in hiding, Jersey motels. False IDs. A new alias, Iris Hale. Consultant for upstart tech. Elena's trial hit the wires. Manslaughter plea. 5 years probation. Coerced daughter spin. She kept the company carcass. Rebranded as Martyr CEO. A happy ending? For her? Maybe. For me. Rebirth's cruel jest. Revenge birthed a sharper monster. But in the quiet hours, staring at rain-streaked windows, I rebuilt. Patents in offshore vaults. Loyal engineers emailing feelers. A shadow network. Lean and lethal. Controversial 9. I'd return. Not as victim, but viper. One day, Elena's boardroom toast would stutter, my voice on the line. Run, sweetheart. Before I find out what you did. The cab's taillights faded into Manhattan's maw, and I smiled into the dark. Dead once. Reborn twice over. The truth? It set her free. But freedom's fleeting when mom's got the long memory.